I love The Sopranos so much. I want to be a gangster and eat cold cuts and leather jackets all day long. Am I Italian? No. Do I get anxious when someone raises their voice in public? Yeah.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy, all about Halloween and how it kills this week. In the main event, we are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Eric. Weevil Pie's Delight. Weevil Pie's Delight.
Weevil from Veronica Mars?
I have a lot of... Wait, Weevil... Wasn't Weevil just in Smile?
Is Weevil
That's
in
Badger.
Smile?
That's Badger.
Oh, yeah, Badger. Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting my Veronica Mars.
Beaver.
I'm getting all
Jesus
my Veronica Mars.
Yeah, you're still getting it wrong.
I know, but like all the animal
Kyle
nicknames.
Gallner, who is like a Scream King, because he's been
now actually in Scream.
In Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of horror stuff.
I interviewed the whole cast of the new Scream before anyone was allowed to tell me anything about that movie. So I went around going like, "And who do you play?" And they're like, "A guy." And so Kyle Gallner's answer was a guy about town, which he was right about. But yeah,
he was a guy about town. He's also in Jennifer's Body, a movie we've covered on this podcast.
We did cover that movie.
Yeah, Scream King. He's Scream King.
Scream King. All right. Yeah, we are at the end technically of our we enjoy proper episodes of the Halloween franchise. We've made it 12 movies there. 12
movies.
Fucking Michael Myers movies.
Again, might be the longest we'll ever do. We'll see, because I don't know if like an MCU phase, if we ever do those, how many movies that'll be.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. Let's ask our listeners. Maybe they could write in. Do you like these long, lengthy deep dives, or do you like the short bursts, like the 3 or 4 or 5 movies, that are? I mean, 5 movies sounds long, but it's not compared to this.
Yeah, but I think it's always going to be like it is rare we will do a series that hits 10 movies, much less passes that.
Yeah.
But once in a while.
Well, honestly, unless it's MCU, we're dealing with horror here as far as that type of longevity.
Yeah.
And then I guess James Bond.
But even Bond, like if we broke it up by the actors, none of them are going to get to 10. So
we just break it up by good movies and bad movies.
There's also that. Sure.
Okay, so Halloween Kills in the main event today. We have a lot of opinions about this movie, and and then we are going to start. I'll just say it at the top of this episode. We're going to start a new. I don't think we've decided how many we're doing.
No,
4 or 5.
I need to. I mean, we have an email chain that I have to reply back on with some thoughts.
But we know where we're starting.
I don't know. Maybe we'll go past 5. We'll see. Maybe 6. We'll see.
We're doing wolvies. We're doing wolves, werewolves. It's the spooky season. So many other things like witches and vampires and groovy ghoulies and murderers and slashers and ghosts, poltergeists get. They're just they get more of the spotlight than werewolves. Werewolves, I feel like, are always sort of like mid card. Werewolves are mid, Eric. They're mid.
No, everything's mid.
But with Werewolves by Night coming out, the Marvel Halloween special, which is
you pluralized it. It's just one werewolf.
Werewolves.
That's a sequel
coming out, there will be a Hudson Hawk episode for. So look for that if you are a Hudson Hawk Patreoner. We're going to do a Werewolf by Night breakout episode, but then that sort of leads us also into werewolf movies, and we will start with The Werewolf, the original Universal monster movie.
It's not called that. Yeah, you're having.
I am on fire tonight. I'm on fire. Much like Michael Myers was in this movie at the beginning.
Although he
killed like 11 emergency responders, like he's fucking Black Adam, just like making his way through them. Okay, The Wolfman.
There you go.
The Wolfman, starring. I'm afraid to say anything now. It's going to be wrong because I don't even have notes. Lon Chaney.
The 1941 Lon Chaney Jr.
Lon Chaney Jr.
1941's The Wolfman, which I believe technically it keeps Wolfman as 2 words, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original was actually chainsaws, 2 words, but never after. Yes, the Wolf Spaceman. That's what we're going to talk
Not Wolfman.
Not Harvey Wolfman.
Not Harvey Wolfman, attorney at law. Not Wolfman Wolfram and Hart. Okay, so the Wolfman will be next week, and you can actually watch it on Peacock or rent it via only actually a few services. It's not the easiest film to access, but if you have Peacock, you can watch it. You can rent it on, I believe, through Apple. But yeah, I don't think you can get it on Vudu and stuff like that.
No, but it's well, I think you can. I think you can buy
on
a
Canopy, I think.
No, you can buy or rent that anywhere, but it is currently on both Peacock Premium and the Criterion Channel. But you can rent or own it on any of the major platforms.
Okay, we're recording this on a Monday evening, and so if news breaks during this week, why we don't cover it is because we're recording it early. We've got busy schedules coming up, so we're actually going to start pre-recording some things this week for next week. So the next couple episode propers might be a little light on news, which is to say, like what's coming up. Oh, the Wolfman episode might not have a lot of entertainment, pop culture news to delve into, but we'll see. But speaking of that, let's delve into this stuff here, which is that I saw a lot of headlines saying like Community's finally getting the movie it promised. I'm like, I don't think there was ever a solid promise. It was a funny thing that happened, but yes, there were 6 seasons, and now there is a movie. A Community movie has been ordered by Peacock, and it will star the entire cast, except obviously, I don't think anyone expected Chevy Chase to come back. And at this point, Yvette Nicole Brown and Donald Glover aren't not confirmed for the movie.
They were not in the press release amongst the cast, although pointedly, Yvette has tweeted about it and been like, this is, isn't this awesome? It's happening. And Joel McHale, although it is funny because he fucked up in his tweet, Joel McHale, who was like the first person I saw tweet about it, tagged Donald Glover. Now he also fucked up and tagged.
Didn't he do Gillian Anderson?
Anderson, because Gillian Jacobs left Twitter a few years ago, and I'm guessing Joel didn't realize that.
Maybe Gillian Jacobs and Gillian Anderson are good friends, so he's like, "Hey, tell Gillian that that the Community movie's happening, and she should show up on set probably."
But so I presume both of them will make an appearance in the movie. Chevy less so, and then we'll see if other people like John Oliver pop up, or the people like Keith David and Paget Brewster who were in the final season. I think Jonathan Banks, people noticed, was killed off screen. If you notice, like some little Easter eggy things in season 6, but you could still bring him back if you wanted.
So that's Joel McHale, Danny Pudi, Alison Brie, Gillian Jacobs, Jim Rash, and Ken Jeong are confirmed with Dan Harmon at the helm of it.
Well, writing it. We don't know who's directing it. And of course, it's, for years, people would bring up the fact that very notably, Justin Lin and the Russo brothers got their start on Community and like kind of gave Community a lot of its like, this is like an actual fun action when it's trying to be a meta episode about action flair. I have no idea if any of those guys would be free to do this. But I wouldn't hold my breath, but you never know. But we'll see. But it's like you've said, Matt, this is the era where we kind of get everything, like anything that could possibly happen.
Everything, Eric. We get everything, and we're so spoiled, and we still find things to complain about. We have been given back more than anyone could possibly ever deserve to have returned to them, and people still find time to complain about things. And speaking of which, I'd like to complain that we have not gotten, of all the things that have come back into our lives, anything resembling a happy endings reunion. So
I know, but that was like even a lower level cult.
I know.
But you're actually a liar, because we did get something resembling it, because we got a COVID episode. They did a COVID reunion with a new episode. Did you not watch that? Are you a fake fan?
Maybe I'm a fake fan.
Yeah, they did.
The last thing I remember they did was a table read.
No, that after this, like Parks and Rec, they did a brand new episode that was like, hey, we're all on Zoom.
Well, now I don't even want to do this podcast. I just want to go watch that. I was too busy during the pandemic lockdown watching the Nirvana concert put on by God, what's his name? I am
Wolfman.
Johnny Wolfman. I am firing on all cylinders tonight. It's not even as late as I usually podcast, and I'm totally out of it. As a Google box, Post Malone. I couldn't put the name Post Malone. I had to Google box Nirvana concert pandemic. So yeah, Post Malone put on a Nirvana concert during meaning he covered Nirvana songs, one of his favorite bands. That I watched probably like 3 times.
Somehow, this I'm not aware of. The happy endings.
Yeah,
COVID
see,
episode.
again, I think they were happening simultaneously, and I chose my team.
You chose. No, I mean, look, while not literally promised, it was. I will say, back, some people were posting some old stuff, like when, they very much embrace. It was a fan thing based on an episode of the show, but it's like, they had commercials for Community that would hashtag 6 seasons in a movie and stuff. So they leaned into it for sure. We never knew for sure, but in the past couple of years, I honestly feel like almost they did a table read for COVID. They did not do a reunion episode. And that was the first time Donald Glover did anything with them. But it's like, it felt like momentum kept growing to the point that Dan Harmon very recently was saying they were basically saying it's a when, not if now.
It's a thing where it's like, this couldn't have happened. Like, obviously, like Firefly is like one jumbled season in a movie, but the movie was like a major motion picture release in theaters. And it's like, the movie part is happening because of the streaming movies exist. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. And
because of streaming services. Yeah.
It's 100%. I mean, especially, in right now where straightforward comedies are the most struggling genre right now at the box office.
And rom-coms too, like look what happened to Bros. Like, rom-coms, comedies and rom-coms wind up going to streaming. Yeah.
I guess I meant both of those by that, which is anything that's not like a comedy action, like I'm forgetting the one, the name of the movie with Channing Tatum,
The Wolfman,
Sandra Bullock, which was a hit, but that was like an action comedy.
The Lost City,
yeah. So, but if you're just a comedy about care of people doing things, you struggle right now. So yeah, Community being a theatrical movie wouldn't make sense. It being a streaming movie makes perfect sense for a couple reasons. That Sony doesn't have a streaming service, but has actually benefited from that by being a company that's very much embraced to we can license out to anyone. And Community is not exclusive to any streaming service. I believe it is currently on Hulu and Netflix. And there was a bidding war apparently for this movie, which makes sense because it's like, hey, it's a name value with the cast returning, most of them, and we'd have the series and the movie. And the funny thing is, Peacock didn't have the series yet.
But also they worked out a deal to get season 6, like a non-compete streaming rights to season 6 of Community.
Well, no. Season 6 was on the other services.
No, but didn't let me read this again.
No, because that basically Peacock will now have Community. Again, it's not exclusive to anyone, but only Peacock will have the movie. So it's like, it's like, there was like a bidding war for this movie because it wasn't like, we'll have the movie, but not the show. Anyone who wanted the movie could get the show because Sony has not made the show exclusive.
Along with the movie, Peacock has also secured non-competitive rights to air Community season 6.
I don't know what that.
I don't know what that means now. That what you're saying.
Where are you reading that?
I'm reading this on IGN.com, so I don't know.
I feel like there might be something off about that slightly.
Well, it's on the internet.
It's on the internet.
Forever.
I'm looking at Netflix right now. They have season 6. I believe Hulu has season 6.
Well, it doesn't say when this takes effect.
No. I don't think anyone's gonna lose.
No, I believe you.
Yeah, it's just that Peacock will now also have Community.
We're arguing about the strongest season of Community, season 6. Clearly,
I really like season 6 of Community. In fact, but anyway, I think this is great. I mean, I know people will be like, "Oh, is it taking too long?" Blah blah blah. It's a funny show with funny people done by funny people. I am down for more, and it'll give me an excuse to rewatch Community, and I love Community, so I'm pro.
I hope Post Malone shows up on it, playing Nirvana songs. Also,
has a Wolfman.
Basically. The Community movie's happening because the landscape is the same. It's for the same reasons that Zack Snyder's Justice League is happening, because of these now the splintering of the streaming entities and so on. Okay, let's move on to we've got MCU in the next 2 stories here, which is to say that Michael Waldron, writer of Loki and Doctor Strange Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, has basically will be writing Avengers Secret Wars, the last movie announced that will sort of cap off the multiverse saga. And many people wonder now how important that, and these two things going hand in hand, what Loki season 2 will mean for the multiverse saga. Obviously, I feel like it's going to connect a lot deeper than the first season did, which seemed to tease things that never quite came about. Like there's a huge gap between what happens at the end of Loki season 1 and like where we're supposed to pick up in the multiverse, because the No Way Home was its own thing, and then Multiverse of Madness was also its own thing, and nothing is really like chain affected one another.
No, it's like the thing that chain affected was Wanda herself. Like Wanda has a character, but I think we all expected.
But that was from WandaVision.
No, yeah, but I'm saying because they had initially said, "Oh, WandaVision and Loki will lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness," and I think we expected multiverse shenanigans that would connect all three. But really, the only thing that directly connected all three was like Wanda has, and not even Loki at all. Right. It's just like Wanda's arc. So yeah, like I think we all thought the end of Loki was going to be more directly addressed in Doctor Strange, like something's changed, but it wasn't. Which isn't to say they can't still bring that up, but yeah, at the moment they have not. It's also interesting, just like how much more condensed all this is time wise, because Secret Wars is 3 years away, which I know might sound like far away, but when you look at like Marvel Phase 1, which was like 2008 to 2012. The fact that we're already going to be through two more phases.
Yeah. We're getting these really hyper quick condensed phases now because of the TV shows.
Because I think because of the TV shows directly, it's like they realize they can't like have these go for 5 years anymore. But it's just a very different thing. And so Waldron, I mean, it does seem like, and there has to be almost like with Marcus McFeely not actively working in the MCU, it's like has to be someone who is, there's never going to be like one person writing it all, and obviously Feige is the person kind of helping like guide it all, but it seems like you do want someone who's like working on a lot of stuff and and maybe some of the big broad strokes, and it seems like that might be Waldron at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. Obviously there's so many. We talked last week about Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, and will he be in Secret Wars, because it seems that's certainly possible.
Joshua of IGN fame wondered aloud on Twitter if, because of Waldron is writing Secret Wars, if there's a possibility that Loki will play a greater role in Secret Wars, perhaps even taking over Doom's role as the ruler of Battleworld.
I don't know if they'll do that, but I will say this. I bet you, even if our crazy, like, we're just going wild predictions of like, hey, I wonder if in Secret Wars we'll see, Tobey Maguire, Hugh Jackman, and Robert Downey Jr. all back. Those are all just like, maybe anything's possible. That's possible because anything's possible right now. I will say, I feel almost fairly secure in saying, I bet you the next time we see Chris Hemsworth as Thor is Secret Wars, maybe Renner, like these guys who are still around, like their characters haven't died, they haven't like whatever.
Right. So it's like when they say at the end of Love and Thunder, Thor will return again. It doesn't mean Thor 5. You know what I mean?
No. I think it will be he's in Secret Wars because Hemsworth, it's like he's not going to do that many more of these. And so I would bet Secret Wars will be the everyone in the pool, installment.
All right, and then some other news that broke a little while back, which is that Armor Wars, which was just sort of addressed at D23, having not been, had no new news about it in a while,
having been the oddly missing show of all the shows they announced in 2019, the first slate of shows. We'd seen them all except Armor Wars. It had been kind of strangely not.
And like Don Cheadle kind of came out at D23 to like remind us that this is, everyone, that this was still a thing that was happening. But then now shortly after that, they've announced that they have sort of changed format directions for this story, and it will now be molded into a actual theatrical movie instead of a Disney Plus series, which I'm all for. I'd like the balance to tip back into movies a little more than the Disney Plus series. This also means it's kind of default Iron Man 4 in a way. And I hope Justin Hammer returns, and I wish them all the best. So I'm excited about this. And I'm excited about an Armor Wars movie more than I am an Armor Wars TV series. I don't know why.
I've been psyched for Armor Wars since they announced it, and then I was kind of sad when it wasn't being mentioned. And there was rumors that I think were mostly fueled by speculation of maybe it's not happening at all, but I understood why, because no one had mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then they made sure to mention it and say, yes, it's still happening, and Rhodey's in Secret Invasion, and then that'll lead directly into Armor Wars, and I was happy again. And I'm happy about this too.
Or will it? We've been told things will lead directly into other things, and then they don't happen.
That's true.
About that.
Although at least, like Wanda, like Rhodey himself will be in both these projects.
Yes,
so
he will be in both of them.
Yes,
so I guess that means it will directly lead into something. Yeah,
right. But I will say, like, as someone who has enjoyed many of the Disney Plus shows, I don't feel the thing, like I saw some people say every one of the Disney Plus shows would have been better as a movie, which I actually don't agree with at all.
No.
There's a couple I think might have been, but not all. But with Armor Wars specifically, even though I was excited for a show, I thought, you know what, this does make sense, because Secret Invasion, some people said, like, why is Secret Invasion a show versus a movie? And I was like, well, Secret Invasion, they scaled Secret Invasion down from the comic, because the comic had all these huge superheroes in it, some of whom turned out to be Skrulls. And the show obviously looks like much more like human character based, except for the Skrulls. But that looks cool to me. I like that. But Armor Wars, I was like, by its nature, even it won't be a direct adaptation. None of these ever are. But if there's a bunch of people in flying armor, that sounds like a movie budget. That just sounds like a bigger scale thing. And so it sounds to me like it'll probably work better as a movie. So yeah, I like this. I hope it continues to happen.
What a world we live in. What a world we live in when we're all actively talking about all this stuff happening in front of our eyes. And again, this isn't even stuff that we're like, this is just stuff we're being gifted, Eric. Gifted. It's not even things like, back in the heyday, back when there was like a few months that went by where we learned all at once we were getting new Evil Dead, new Twin Peaks, new like things.
Yeah.
It was like so much, and it was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do with my life. We are truly blessed to live in this sort of pop culture ocean right now.
I was thinking the other day, and I'm sure we talked about it a little bit when we did this movie last year, but there has to be conversations on the studio level. Now, I don't know if the actors want anything to do with it. I'm like, on the studio level, bringing Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock back for a new Speed movie feels like something that would 100% be discussed in the halls of Disney / 20th Century Studios in this year of 2022. Like, if Keanu Reeves is coming back as Constantine, bringing him back as Jack, from Speed seems like, like something that I'm sure they'd want to do. Now, of course, then it's like, and especially because they're both still like bankable and beloved.
Oh man, is it like a Top Gun Maverick situation where it's like he has to train Harry's son?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, green light.
I like it. By the way, did you know that Peacock has secured the non-competitive rights to air Community season 6, Eric?
Shut the fuck up. I want you to stop saying that. And a Wolfman will be involved.
Werewolves at night. Not Werewolf by Night, Werewolves at Night. That's my That's my mockbuster version of it. Okay. We don't really have any write-ins this week. We didn't really give people kind of enough time because we're doing this on a Monday here. So
and then we're going to give them even less time.
And we're going to give them even less time to do it. So we're kind of going to.
If you happen to hear this on Thursday when it goes up, and you have anything you'd want us to talk about when we probably record it 24 hours later, so I know that's not a lot of time, send us a message.
Well, maybe I'll put it up Wednesday night. How about that? Give them an extra 12 hours. But we did record a breakout episode for our Hudson Hawk tier over on Patreon. So you can listen to us talk about 2009's Avatar, which you may have heard made quite a lot of coin at the box office back in the day, and may just be the king of all movies. And so we revisited that in the theater, and then we revisited it and recapped it for you audio-wise on the podcast. And we talked about how we felt watching it again and our thoughts heading into now just a few months away from The Way of Water. Still a movie I'm excited about, but still will say is a bad sequel title. Don't like it. Don't like it. I don't care what the ways of water are. They can't wow me with that. Watch afterwards. I'm like all about the way of water. Gonna eat my words, Eric. Drink my words. I'm gonna drink my words.
Drink your words.
Drink your words.
That's the
Speaking of
tagline.
horrible things people can chant besides "Evil dies tonight," drink your words. Let's get into our good things to enjoy. Eric, what is your good thing to enjoy this week? I see that you are taking another sort of physical media. No, yeah, like
Yes,
is
I
it,
am. No,
you doing a
I
physical
am.
media corner again?
It's a physical media corner, although I'm also going to be helpful and say that it is on a streaming service right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So because I did get a review copy of Fright Night on 4K, the original Fright Night from 1985, which was really a favorite of mine growing up. I talked about it. So was Real Genius. It is funny. These are movies that I would just watch over and over and over again. Unlike Real Genius, I don't think I ever owned in any way. It would be on cable all the time. I'd watch it. Fright Night, I believe, was one of those movies I taped off cable so I could rewatch it whenever I wanted, which was a lot. And yeah, that was just a constant for me growing up. And I always, in recent years, I don't watch it constantly, but I revisit every once in a while, and I think it still holds up. And now there's this new 4K, which Friday Night had been a weird movie where it'd been like out of print sometimes, or there hadn't been great releases of it. So this feels like the first like real sort of like souped up release it's gotten. I think it looks good, not amazing. Again, these old 80s movies that were made on low budget, sometimes you kind of don't expect them to be like reference quality, this is where I show off to my friends how great something can look, but it looks really good. Not like, just the best ever. But mostly I just like, hey, this is a really good release for a really great movie. Fright Night's interesting because it's almost a stepping stone movie, because 2 years later would come Lost Boys. And I think Lost Boys really pivots you into like vampires are young and sexy. Yeah. Like, there's a direct lineage from Lost Boys to Buffy that Joss Whedon acknowledged. Fright Night is not that, because it's about like a sort of middle-aged vampire. I mean, he's older because he's a vampire, but like the vampire in question is not like young, sexy vampire, but he's of the present. It's like it's getting away from like classic Bela Lugosi type vampires in a stepping stone way. And it was also just a clever conceit, as far as this kid who thinks a vampire is living next door to him, and not knowing who to go to for help, goes to a guy who's like known as a renowned vampire hunter in the movies, but is actually, just sort of like a washed up guy who was going to do this for money, but doesn't really believe it's true. But it is true, of course. And what happens when they team up, they kind of have like a Doc Brown, Marty, older man and teenage boy, that sounds wrong, relationship. But a really fun movie. And Tom Holland directed it, not Spider-Man. Child's Play Tom Holland, who I talked about, is not well liked by anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like we learned about like after his behavior on Child's Play, his career sort of like wound up taking a little bit of a descent afterwards, I think, because he's like a toxic mug thrower, right? Like a screamer, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, on that movie, I don't know if he, before that, I don't think, it sounds like he didn't have that same sort of reputation prior to that. I mean, Chris Sarandon worked with him twice, but Chris Sarandon agreed that on Child's Play he was kind of like losing it. But yeah, Fright Night, I always really enjoy it when I go back to it. I enjoyed it again for this. And extras wise, I was really happy because they put a bunch of stuff on it, including there's like commentaries, but there's also like a COVID. They did a script read of Fright Night during quarantine with Rosario Dawson and Jason Patrick and Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, involved. And then there's like an interview with Brian Fuller talking to Amanda Bierce, who was the female lead, and she would be on Married with Children, but she is a lesbian, and they would talk about sort of like the queer read of Fright Night together.
Well, Amanda Bierce not only would star in Married with Children, but she would wind up being one of the prominent directors of that show, over and over again.
So lots of good stuff here, and I just feel like I think we just probably had an awkward edit there, guys, but that's okay. I'm gonna pause for a second.
Weird stuff was happening.
It's okay. Fright Night is great. It's super fun. And while this fancy new 4K is out, which I highly recommend, if you just wanted to watch the movie, it's on AMC Plus right now, so you can stream it there, or rent it at places you could rent digital movies. So that's my recommendation.
I am also a fan of the 2011 Fright Night.
No, and yeah, that's
and
a
it kind of
solid-
was a
solid-
little outside
yeah,
the window of that
solid
decade
remake.
of remakes. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But like the Anthony Yelchin, I think Craig Gillespie directed it. Yeah, it was. I
Yes.
thought it was pretty good.
No, I like that one too. That's a good remake. Yeah.
So mine, my good thing to enjoy this week is actually also vampire based. And unlike being modern vampires, it is a throwback. Well, there's some modern, but mostly it's a telling of like classic, what you think of classic regal sort of aristocracy of vampires, which is Interview with a Vampire, the TV series based on the Anne Rice novel, which got turned into a very well-regarded, very successful prestige horror movie in the early 90s starring Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Christian Slater as the interviewer. And
replacing River Phoenix last minute because River Phoenix passed away.
Or did he become a vampire?
Oh.
Did he? Interview with a Vampire this is sort of a new take on AMC and AMC Plus, so you can watch it on regular old TV. Or if you're a cord cutter, you can subscribe to AMC Plus. AMC Plus also has like
both our projects, Matt, our recommendations are vampires and AMC Plus.
That's true. Well, AMC Plus, home of the vampire.
Yeah.
So it's basically Interview with a Vampire, the series it's a sequel, but also not a sequel. So it's basically a remake, but it's also a sequel because Eric Bogosian is playing the interviewer character decades later, right?
Okay.
So he's playing Daniel Malloy, who Christian Slater played in the film, decades later, and that happened. Like their interview already happened. This is like re-interview with the vampire.
This is like the documentary, the like 37 Up series, where he's like, I'm going to revisit.
Yeah, but because we learned that like the first story was full of inaccuracies and sort of contradictions, it's like, and it's been so long, they're like, let's start over. Let's tell me the real story. And so we're getting, and so it's still a perfect entryway if you haven't seen the film. There's just a few things at the beginning that are like, oh yeah, because he's the older version of the character, but it's still the telling of the story of Louis and Lestat and their sort of their relationship as vampires as Lestat turns Louis into a vampire in New Orleans. And, you know, that's what, you know, Anne Rice, very famous for bringing New Orleans vampire to life in a huge way. And so Jacob Anderson from Game of Thrones, you knew him as, I think it was Grey Worm was his name, as Louis de Pont de Lac. And Sam Reed is playing Lestat de Lancourt. Eric Bogosian, as I already mentioned, is in it. And yeah, it's a new queerer take. You know, now that we're in 2020, we can fully embrace things that the movie
subtext that was there is now being made.
Subtext is there is now full text. And it's and also because Jacob Anderson is a person of color, like it is a different take on Louis also, and like his family and his family's fortune and what happened after his father died and the businesses he sort of has to run in New Orleans and where we find him at the beginning. I've only seen the first 2 episodes of this. It is a 7-episode season. It has already been picked up for a season 2. I think a few weeks ago before the premiere of this. And but yeah, the first 2 episodes are absolutely excellent, and I love the new take. I think the chemistry between Anderson and Reed is amazing, and all the characters are really good, and it's just a different. It's not like reinventing the wheel here, but I think Anne Rice is a tremendous writer too. Just her prose, so a lot of the dialogue really rings true. A lot of the voiceover and the narration is really great, and it comes to us from Roland Jones, who's just a really great writer, notable for Boardwalk Empire and like Friday Night Lights, writing the episode The Sun, which he won an Emmy Award nomination for. I cry.
Matt, if you watched The Sun,
I haven't watched. Why would I just watch The Sun? If I know.
You need to watch the whole goddamn show. I'm just saying, you would appreciate that it makes it sad.
Oh yeah. I love it. You know me. I love sad things. Yes. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Is AMC Plus. Unfortunately, I do, and I hunted this down, so I believe I'm correct here in that unlike HBO Max, you can't access it with every cable provider. Like I have HBO Max because I'm not a cord cutter and I have HBO, right? if that makes sense. So if you have cable and have access to AMC, that doesn't mean you have access to AMC Plus, which seems upsetting.
That is upsetting.
Right? So I think you have to have very specific cable, like Xfinity or something like that, or I don't know, something weird. Cricket Wireless. I don't know. That's not even cable. That's like cell phone.
As a cord cutter, like, I'm trying again. I'm just like everybody else, which is, of course,
I'm just a caveman.
I'm just a caveman.
A caveman.
I do as I say, not as I do, and then I'm always telling people, don't forget, you can always cancel these services and come back to them later. And one trick to do is like cancel the second you subscribe if you only want it for a month, so it's like even it's done. But I don't always remember to do that. But like, I had AMC Plus for Better Call Saul's final season, and then I canceled it. But it's funny because I haven't seen the new Interview with Vampire. I keep hearing very good things about it. And then I was kind of pissed because I'm like, another good show to watch. That's the last thing I need.
I get angry. It's kind of like I get angry too at. It's just sort of this inert rage where it's like when something's so goddamn good, you get upset. I feel the same way if I go to Europe and see beautiful castles or countrysides, and I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like, how dare you be so like beautiful? You don't seem real. You seem like you're out of a fairy tale. And so like when something's of super high quality, there is a reaction to be like, I'm mad at you again. Yeah. And part of that can be like, and now I have one more thing to fit into my time, right? Like that I have to sort of squeeze into my life here, something else. But yeah, it's spooky season. If you're looking for something spooky, a little gay, a little sort of like historic and fun, very well written, very well performed. Interview with a Vampire, the new series, is excellent, so I recommend that. All right,
I will check that.
All right, let's talk about Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is a movie. Man, I actually haven't really revisited this movie since I saw it in the theater until just now watching it for the podcast, and I'm like, maybe it'll take on a different shape for me. Shape, get it? It kind of didn't. There's still things about this movie that kind of make me upset, and one of them being that it doesn't feel like it was a necessary movie in any
definitely
way.
Yeah, it feels like a filler. I hate the term filler usually for TV episodes.
I know.
But this feels like a movie that doesn't justify its existence because it's so unusual to get like a planned trilogy in horror movies. And so the fact that they're like, hey, Halloween's back and it's going to be this new trilogy, that's awesome, and all these cool people are working on it, that's awesome. The first movie's really good, that's awesome. So then the second one kind of feels like, we kind of could have skipped this, right? I know there's a couple big things that happen, but that seems like that could have been the prologue to the next one,
So part of that is that this movie itself feels weirdly extraneous, and a lot of it just feels like it's setting up the third movie. Like a lot of things said here feel like it's setting up the third movie. And that's not to say that this isn't all one story, because there's a line specifically Frank says in the first movie that doesn't get resolved. Cameron disappears and doesn't appear again until this movie.
Right.
Like, so they are a chain. I get that. Like when Frank in the first movie says, I stopped Loomis from killing him when I should have. We never really circle back to that until this movie really does a lot of flashbacks with Frank. But there's just an element here where, I don't know, there's a weird ugliness to this movie. It's not a Rob Zombie mean. It's not an exploitation movie type of mean, but like the way that this movie, the body count of this movie is almost unbelievable. Now, the first movie was very violent and very like gory in many ways. And
first movie, you mean the 2018 movie?
Yes, the first movie of this trilogy.
Right.
And it felt like a natural escalation for the era, especially when one of the characters calls out how few people died in the original Babysitter Massacre. Right. And by comparison, it doesn't mean much. And so this movie sort of really upped the ante. Now, this movie, out of the gate, again, he comes out even more superhuman than the previous movie. And the weird speechified explanation that's given by Laurie at the end of this movie, that he's sort of growing more powerful with each kill and transcending into something unstoppable, is just like, where does she even get that? Like, how does she even understand to say that there's a lot of weird speeches in this movie that kind of drag the whole story down. You know, when Tommy gets up in the bar at the beginning of the movie and he starts like lowering the mood by saying they're doing this weird talent show. Everyone's like, what? And it's like he's lowers the mood of that room the way this movie lowers the mood of the trilogy. Like that's the way I kind of feel about it. I also wonder, because we went through this a little bit with RoboCop, and that RoboCop is good for kind of one movie, right? Like the origin of RoboCop is an interesting story. Mm-hmm. Past that, nobody cracked the code on how to make a good RoboCop movie. Like after we learned how RoboCop got made,
right? And after Murphy embraces being Murphy again, you know, at the end,
so much so that like RoboCop 2 involved RoboCop vanishing for a large part of that film for like 20 minutes of the movie, because it's just like he's not too interesting a character. So I wonder about Halloween in that way. Is like, is there really one really good Halloween movie? And I don't mean just the classic original, which is obviously a good movie. I mean like one good Halloween story to tell, which is Michael Myers coming to Haddonfield and killing people, and which you could argue makes Halloween 4 tolerable because he's once again escaping and doing the same thing he did in the first movie. Like that's the story of Michael Myers. Once you go beyond that, people really struggle to find the plot of what to do with him. And this is the second movie now. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is a fake out, but this is the second sequel, if you will, even though the Halloween 2018 was technically a sequel. This is the second sequel that takes place on the same night.
Right.
And that's still just compounding that night never works for me. Like making the awful night even worse. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
I get all that. And so I will say this movie is very, very disappointing. I feel I can take a step back and say I can enjoy this movie on a like visceral, like goofy, fun slasher movie level. The fact that it is so over the top. I mean, they're like, it's called Halloween Kills, and he kills the fuck out of people. And some of the goose kills are, you know, pretty wild and fun on that level. So I don't hate this movie, but it's such a drop from the last one because I feel like there was some hyperbole when it came out about this is one of the worst ones. I'm like, it's not one of the worst ones. You know, it's not one of the worst ones, but it's very disappointing because the last one was so good and because we felt like we have these people guiding it. That's great. And so the fact that there's a notable drop in quality and that there's a lot of ham-fistedness that because watching it again last night, and I've seen it more than you. I watched it when it came. I actually watched it a couple times when it came out on Blu-ray. I did actually another thing I remember doing was like a watch along thing, and then also I did watch the director's cut, not this week, but I've watched it. Or I shouldn't say director's cut. I think it's just like the unrated cut. I have watched that. But yeah, watching it again, I'm like, yeah, there's some ideas in this movie thematically that are trying to be like kind of like, about other things that could have worked if it weren't for the sort of ham-fisted way they approach it, and that the speechifying and everything that like just is too direct and is like unintentionally cheesy. And I'm like, this could have worked, guys. I can still enjoy it.
Like a lot of the cheesy stuff. It doesn't feel like it was even like written by the same people who wrote the first movie.
Right? That's so weird.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Like, okay, okay. I'm not crazy in thinking that, which is like the Evil Dies Tonight stuff, the speech of Laurie at the end when she's talking to Frank, where she just kind of weirdly figures out that the rule of Michael Myers in this particular story, which is that like now he's like basically grows even more powerful with each person he kills and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the same thing. And this movie does the thing of like, we don't know where to go with Michael Myers per se. So we're going to now do something, even ramp up the supernatural elements even a bit more, even though it's not as overstated as it is in previous films. This one is like, by the way, did you know that an important spot in Michael Myers' home is the window in his sister's bedroom? I don't know if you knew that, but it's said quite a few times in this movie.
Yes.
Don't you ever need that? I mean, I get it. Everyone's got like a thinking spot. You ever ponder, Eric? You ever just sit there and noodle? Like, yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah,
he killed Judith because he's just like, you are in the way of me getting to my thinking spot.
but like Karen and Lori just like sit around and think, and their theories that they come up with are kind of what are the correct theories, which they have no way of knowing. So it feels just like the writer telling us. So it's like when Karen's like, I think he was looking at his reflection, or I don't even know if she said that, but someone
I don't
says
think it's
that.
her says it.
But
Yeah.
but like, is that it? Or is there a dark entity out there? Or is he just looking at his reflection? Is that the actual answer? Because someone just sort of thought it up in the hospital. By the way, the hospital takes up so much of the story too. And Lori just being in bed the whole movie is kind of weird, you know.
Well, no, I mean it's of all the things to repeat from Halloween 2, I mean, she's barely in the first hour of this movie. I was clocking some time here. It's like we don't see her till about 20 minutes in when she has the, you know, the dramatic, like, you know, let it burn, let it burn. But then she's coma Lori again for quite a while. And bedridden Lori again. And it's funny. I was like, how much did she even work on this movie? And then I saw that she worked on it for like 10 days out of, you know, I'm like, this probably weren't full days.
Yeah.
And maybe that was part of the deal to get her back, is like, you'll be in the first and the third a lot, but not the second so much. But yeah, no one wants her to be like minimized again, like, you know, so that's definitely a weird call of this film.
And like the evil dies tonight scene, like if they had just let it go at the first part where like there was that what was it? Love Lives Today or something like that. It was some charity that he puts money into, and then the nurse is like, evil dies tonight, or
Marion
something like
says
that.
it first.
And I was like, that's fine. But then the whole thing in the hospital when it's brought back later, and the chanting,
Tommy
and,
says it,
and the chanting and all that, it's just, and it's funny to say that they took so long to do what Halloween 4 did in one Ted Hollister scene, which is like the mob thing doesn't work because someone innocent is going to die. And it was, I'm not saying like the Ted Hollister scene was ultimately emotionally effective, but like it sure was shorter, you know, like.
I mean, I guess we can say some of this stuff now, so we're already talking about it. It's like, yeah, it's like this is where I'm talking about, like, okay, thematically, like, because when this movie came out, it was brought up a lot, you know, that it's like, hey, like this reminds, some people were talking about like January 6th and the attack on the Capitol. Now, of course, this is a very tenuous, like, it's simply because this movie opened later in 2021 and did involve a bunch of people screaming and yelling and storming a place and doing something bad ultimately. Now, that being said, now of course, this movie was filmed before January 6th, had nothing to do with January 6th. I understand that this movie is about the dangers of mob justice, but that it's like the Evil Dies Tonight thing is so hammy and they go so all in on it. So that's your a big problem. And then B, their big problem is that they bring back the motherfucking guy who looks like the Penguin, because we could recognize him easily from the first one, who would not be mistaken for Michael Myers, maybe for more than a split second, if that. And it's too big of a, like, go with it, that all these people, that no one be like, he's not tall enough, he's not thin enough, that all. And Michael Myers, by the way, his face should not be a mystery. Like, it would have been on the news because he was incarcerated for 40 years.
Yeah, and he had no mask on, right?
He had no mask. Like, Tommy has a line about he always wears a mask. How can we be sure? But Tommy would have looked at what he looked like, because Tommy's been obsessed with him.
Yeah, that's a
so
good
Tommy
point.
would have like looked at footage of what he actually looks like. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not against that being like a central part of this movie. It's clearly supposed to be a very important and impactful part of the movie. But it has these huge issues that stop it, which is the hamminess and that guy being not the right guy for people to mistake as Michael Myers. Like, if it had been a big guy who looks like Michael Myers going through all that stuff with Karen, that could have played. But here I'm like, how would these people possibly think this is Michael? This is absolutely insane.
It's crazy. It's also a crazy movie.
Yes.
It's a crazy movie, Eric. Okay, so I'm trying to think. My preliminary notes here are this, that a lot of speeches in this movie, and then so there's some fun kills, there's some fun brutality and violence in this movie as Michael Myers sort of carves this canal of flesh back to his home from Laurie's house, but like, it's so hard to buy the firefighters thing again, where I'm talking about like, I mean, Tommy in his speech is like, Michael Myers is stronger than any normal human being. Like he even says he's got like supernatural shit, but like killing those guys by Michael Myers being able to take anything and impale anyone, no matter what they're wearing, like firefighter gear. He can like break through all of that because that's why it just reminded me of Black Adam. Like he could just go up and like annihilate anyone. And it makes me wonder how anyone ever captures him. Like, how does he deplete? If he could just do that to all the cops and survive all the bullets, and like, I don't know how he ever gets captured,
I mean, this is, I understand like this is that weird sort of specific that doesn't bother me as much. Like, certainly it's funny to point out. And yes, at the end of this movie, he'll be shot and beaten repeatedly, and it's just literally nothing. But I don't mind the firefighter stuff. Like, again, it is this movie kind of announcing like, this is how crazy and big we're going, that he's going to like just wipe them out. I do think, like, again, the reason this movie is not nearly as bad as the actual terrible Halloween movies is like, look, him standing on the porch surrounded by fire looks fucking rad, like so like sort of primal and intense, and like, he's like out of hell. And I do like when he's taking out those firefighters, it's just like so crazy, intense, bloody point of view shot of the firefighter he kills, and then we still I'm
not coming out against like the idea of it. I think it's just the volume. Like if he did it to 3 guys, that would be fine.
Right.
But I think it's 11. I think it's like
it's
11. Yeah, it's a lot. It is.
Although it's funny, this was the first time I noticed that they did kind of, it's almost a why bother at this point because he's so superhuman, but they kind of almost give an explanation for how he survived under in the basement, because he
that made sense.
Up that metal like shutter.
He has like a little safe room almost that he sort of like went inside. Yeah, I get it. Also, I'm very mad that Karen dies in this movie. Like I know it's upsetting. I'm very upset about that because it's kind of like Laurie is already like despondent and had her life ruined enough by this, and it's like, why take one more such a huge thing away from her again? Right. Especially when this movie does certain steps to like tell people and this Laurie by the end that it's not about her, right? That it's not that, like, literally Allison and Frank both know that it was the doctor who was doing all this and leading them to her. So, but then again, like I think we talked about this last week, it's like the movie wants you to think it's not about her, but then it is about her. And what makes it about her? Is it like, because I don't know, because she wills it to be accidentally that it becomes about her in a certain way?
I think there's a little bit of like, like the, self-fulfilling prophecy, because she was sure in the last one that he was coming for her that whole time.
All right.
Karen dying, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. Look, I don't want to see Judy Greer's character die in anything. But so it's a bummer, but it doesn't like, I'm like, I understand, like, there's these 3 women, and it makes sense that I get like wanting to take one of them out as we go. Neither of us have seen Halloween Ends, guys. This is all pure speculation. I'm like, I do assume Laurie will die in that movie, that Allison will live and Laurie will die. But we'll see,
yeah. All right. We should start talking like leading through the actual film, which is to say, this movie starts actually with Cameron and sort of discovering Frank alive. And the whole opening before the credits involves Frank. Which doesn't help this movie. Again, this feels like stuff that is just building toward the next movie. Like, we get a lot of Frank in this movie, a lot of Frank flashbacks, but he never leaves the hospital bed either. You know what I mean? Like, he's it's all just sort of like fodder for what comes after. I assume he will play an integral role in the end game along with Laurie, as both of them sort of both of them blame themselves for what happened. Both of them say they forgive each other for what happened. Both of them we learned both of them also meant something soft and sweet to each other years back. And
except she was sweet on Ben Tramer, who we still have not met in this timeline. So we'll see if we meet him in Halloween Ends. And we like Will Patton. Look, it's like, hey, more Will Patton is never a bad thing. He does get a sort of miraculous he survived, because his neck was torn open by Sartain. But yeah, it was just a flesh wound, and he does make it.
So the whole opening is Frank, and this is, a kind of a bold thing. Not that, you're necessarily like it's sacrilege to traipse on the original Halloween 2, but yeah, to actually re-envision and reimagine the actual capture of Michael Myers and what happened after the end of the first Halloween movie. I don't know. It's sort of interesting and bold. It was a cool take to like, this is the multiverse. This is Halloween 2 didn't happen, but this is what happened. And he actually runs into Lonnie, and who himself is being bullied by a family called the Mulaney's. And again, the Mulaney's, I feel, will play a role in Halloween Ends. Again, more things that just we don't get back to. It's like, why have characters say don't fuck with the Mulaney's if it's not going to lead to something?
I was trying to remember if there was any Mulaney's mentioned in the original, but I don't know.
No, yeah.
A couple things I'll say about the Mulaney's is that this movie does bring back the horrible, horrible children of Haddonfield, both in 1978 and in 2018.
Well, the fact that Lonnie, who is a bullier himself, gets bullied, it's all a chain.
Yes,
Everyone's
it's all a chain.
Yeah. There's always a bigger fish. So yeah.
I always enjoy. It's funny because I know we've even mentioned like you start to recognize like a lot of actors who, when they shoot, Vancouver for so many years, so many things shot there. They still do, of course. They start to recognize like that Vancouver actor. Well, that also starts to happen now for Georgia, Atlanta, because so many things film in Atlanta.
Yeah, interesting.
So the boy Mulaney is on Cobra Kai. He's not one of the big characters. Okay. He's just like one of the students. Because that's in Atlanta too. So it's like one of those like, it's Atlanta's own redheaded kid who's in stuff. And yeah, Lonnie is one of the few direct we'll talk about the adult versions, but it's like, yeah, they recast Lonnie for the 1978 version. They have to. Mm-hmm. He's dressed exactly like we saw him dressed in the original movie. And also, they do a great job. I remember people applauding when I saw this at Beyond Fest, even though I could also feel the disappointment by the end of it, that it like didn't deliver what everyone wanted. But, when they go to 1978 and they replicate what Michael looked like in the original better than we've ever seen what Michael looked like in the original. They got it right, because even his mask looked great in these movies, but it's supposed to look 40 years older in age. But here they just like,
well, we see him walking as if he wasn't shot by Dr. Loomis, just out there because Frank shoots after him. Frank kind of chases him, loses him. Then he has a talk with, I don't think, a fellow deputy who knew Michael growing up. He mentions the thing about the sister's bedroom, which comes back later.
And enters again. It's like, this doesn't make me like furious, but I could do without, because to me, I still like the, like, a 6-year-old boy just snapped. This movie does introduce, he was always weird. Like, cause that guy says, I'd go over to his house because my mom felt bad.
Right. So
there was an implication that something was off about him before the night he killed his sister.
Yeah, it would have been way better if it was like, yeah, he was a normal kid, and then
we played. That's what I would actually have preferred.
I do like the fact that the sheriff not the sheriff at this point, but like one of the officers pulls up to Lonnie and the Mulaney's. It's like, what are you kids doing out here? 3 teenagers just got killed back there. Okay, bye. Right. It's like he doesn't offer them a ride.
Hope you survived.
He's like literally 2 blocks away. There's a murderer on the loose. So get home safe.
I wish you luck.
Yeah,
in your travels.
And then Lonnie does run into Michael Myers, but Michael doesn't kill him. Instead, goes into the house, and then we see the scene that Frank's all torn up about, which is to say he accidentally shoots the other deputy trying to save him, or trying to shoot Michael, who has him at his sister's window. But then right after that happens, is when Michael Myers leaves the house. There are cops surround him. And then we pick up the flashback later on to learn that like another cop covered for him. And he said like, yeah, it's like what you did was bad, but like, he shot himself. This wasn't your fault because this is all Michael Myers doing, and all this stuff. So, and I absolutely since we're just connecting the flashbacks here, I absolutely do not believe that like Frank in that moment was like, I've seen enough death. All I could see in Michael Myers was someone's son, like his baby, like to the point where he stops Loomis from murdering him.
Right.
I don't think he would have been. I think he may have been like, whoa, that's fucked up if he shot Michael Myers in the head. I don't think he was like so like, resoundingly indignant about like no more violence tonight or something like that, like that he would do that. I don't buy it at all.
They do a pretty amazing thing with showing Loomis here, because what I assumed and many assumed was some sort of digital recreation is the film's art director, Tom Jones Jr., who they just were like, you kind of look like Donald Pleasance, and they shaved his head and gave him a beard, and that's just him in makeup, dubbed by the guy who did the voice in the last one for the Loomis tapes. But it is kind of funny that they're just like, no, that guy looks, a guy who worked on the movie, wasn't even an actor in the movie, looks very good as Loomis.
And then we've got the opening scene, this time multiple pumpkins, flaming pumpkins, pumpkins
cool.
on fire. Yeah, it looks cool. It sort of like leads us into the openings. The first time we see Michael Myers in that fire. But we're not even there yet. Like we still have like other things to get to before we get back to Laurie and her girls fleeing the scene. There's still more to do, which is now we're at Mick's bar and the talent show, and the I don't know what their character names are. The nurse and the doctor, sort of the Haddonfield residents. Let's see what their names might be.
The married couple, you mean?
Yeah, the married couple who are dressed like the nurse and the doctor for Halloween.
Which again, I will say something. It's just a fun, again, this doesn't make it a great movie, guys, but just something that is a fun element of this movie is this has to be, certainly for a horror movie, maybe the record for how many returning characters come back from the last
It's
movie.
crazy. And we've seen already one of them because we saw Nurse Chambers, but like, yeah.
But no, I'm not even talking about Marianne. I'm not talking about characters from the original. We'll talk about them too. I'm talking about characters from the 2018 movie. It brings back everyone they possibly could, even some dead people, because that couple dressed like a nurse and doctor walked by Michael in the last movie when we did the tracking shot.
I didn't even recognize.
Oh, you
that.
didn't realize that?
No,
you
no.
see them, same actors.
Okay.
When he's walking, and then that's why they say that's our street. When the news report is talking about,
that's when they were like, Julian, that's that asshole kid across the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were in the movie.
Oh,
and
okay.
There's
that is Vanessa and Marcus.
Vanessa and Marcus. And the I'll just mention, because I'm talking about this, we'll get to these scenes, but it's like the older couple with the fluorescent light in her neck. She was the caretaker at the cemetery in the last one. It's like, this is a very like world building, like,
well, everyone goes to Mick's Tavern, I guess, for Halloween.
Well, a lot of people go to Mick's, yes.
So, but then we realize that there's the Marcus and Vanessa basically are told by the bartender, the owner of the bar, about what's up with with Lonnie's gang. You know what I mean? Like, what these people gather on Halloween every year to sort of like toast and to drink to the tragedy that happened as survivors. It is interesting that I understand why Tommy and Lindsay might sort of be around and Lonnie also in town, but like bringing the nurse, bringing in Marianne Chambers is kind of silly. Like far as
yes, she was attacked by Michael Myers, but for her to have formed a bond with these children at the time, that one's a lot. Yeah, like the other three, I understand they were school kids. Tommy and Lindsay were friends, but and I understand Lonnie would be bonded with them after what happened. But yeah, to Marianne's a stretch. But also, we should just say it is, look, this was a big deal that all these characters coming back finally. Tommy had a big role in the sixth one, of course, played by Paul Rudd. Nurse Marianne had popped up in several of these movies, always Nancy Stevens. But Lindsay had never come back, unless you want to count Rachel's friend named Lindsay, was kind of sort of Easter eggy in the fourth one. And Lonnie had never come back. Brackett had never come back. And so after the second one, so all these characters coming back, which a lot of scripts had done, even though this movie will ultimately have a lot of audience contempt because they will all except one of them be murdered pretty unceremoniously. That it's like, because there was so much excitement around.
Did you see that? I didn't notice in the film, but apparently Bob Odenkirk has a little cameo in a foot as one of the victims. So we can only assume I don't know when he would have been killed.
No. Bob Odenkirk is in this movie. His photo is showing on the news has Bob from the original when they are talking about
as Linda's Bob.
And it's a whole funny random thing about how they could not track down the actor who played Bob to get likeness rights.
Oh, okay.
and there was but they knew Bob Odenkirk, like, they're all comic buddies, and had joked about a picture of him they'd seen of him in high school, and decided just to Easter eggy put a real life high school picture of Bob Odenkirk wearing these old dorky glasses and make that he is now Bob from the original in that moment.
So it's interesting also to have, someone who is important to our sort of childhood, in the 80s, as Anthony Michael Hall, who has worked over the years, obviously, but like returning for this type of role as Tommy Doyle, as a movie that we also grew up with in a different way, as the adult, older than us at this point, Tommy Doyle.
Yes, but ultimately not nearly as cool as I hoped it would be.
Yeah, and Tommy loves to give speeches. Tommy, not a terrific Tommy at this point. And it was weird when it's like when he's talking to Laurie, he's like, "You protect me, I'm gonna protect you now," and she's like, "Go get him," right. She's like, and then, sure thing, Laurie Strode,
So Nancy Stevens back as Marianne, Charles Cypher is back as Brackett. And then you've got some recasting here with Tommy Doyle and Anthony Michael Hall playing him. And then Robert Longstreet, one of the Flanagan, as Lonnie, who's in all of Mike Flanagan's stuff. But then, and I've mentioned this a couple times before, Kyle Richards coming back as Lindsay, because Kyle Richards is like crazy famous for people who really care about the Real Housewives
of Beverly Hills. Yes, exactly.
She has this incredibly different fan base that is an important one, is a marketable part of this. I think Jamie Lee Curtis has now popped up on Real Housewives because they've kind of been like with her working together on this.
Do you think that's why she survived this
and
movie?
I think it didn't hurt. I think Universal loved that she could be back for the next one. Right. If anyone was going to survive, it was the person who, to a certain sect of the audience, is the most famous person in this movie. Certainly. So yeah.
All right.
But I was very happy to see her back. Like, I think that's great. And I know she went to the premiere of the 2018 movie, and she and Jamie Lee Curtis taking pictures together. And it was just like, it is a fun thing to have her back, having played this part as a little girl.
One weird thing about this scene, before we get into Michael Myers killing everyone, which we already sort of talked about, which is to say that it is weird that they're all congregating here while the events of Halloween 2018 have taken place, including crime scenes and all these different things like that they don't know that there was a bus crash, that they don't know.
The bus is on the news, and it feels like it should be a bigger deal in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like the bus, they try to deal with that.
I just feel like those 4 people specifically would have like massive Michael Myers Google alerts going off, and somehow that they would know, and that they wouldn't just get it on a bar TV. I know everyone eventually gets like their phones pinged, but
and also just the bizarreness of this talent show that's like Goofy singing, but then like Tommy getting up there. And he says Lonnie put him up to it, but it's like, so Lonnie's like, get up there and say something freaky, Tommy.
Get up there and just just lower the vibe considerably. And also, like, it is weird that like no one there knows who he is or why he's there or what happened with Michael Myers. Anyway,
well, they try to. I mean, again, this is a little bit of an extension of the last movie, trying to address that in 2022 or 21 when this movie came out. That the fact that it's like he's like, what does he say? Something about like too young to give a shit, too drunk to remember.
Yeah.
That for them it's this defining moment, but that because quote unquote only like 3 people died in the town.
For them, it was the most important day of their life. For everyone else, it was Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was, and then I want to mention that it is fun that this movie repurposes footage from Halloween 2 to show Brackett seeing Annie's body, because that would have happened no matter what, even if nothing else happened.
Even if the night didn't continue on in Halloween 2 the way it did. So they're sort of quote unquote celebrating in their own brand while Michael is getting out of the room. And before that, we see the scene that was very famous from the trailer of this, which is like firefighters showing up and be like, no, let them burn. Who called them? I have no idea. Maybe it was Lenny. What is that? Lenny Clark and his wife as the neighbor,
the cemetery caretaker.
So like who called the firefighters? They showed up anyway. Laurie
I think we can presume it was them, because they say we can they can see the fire going out from
I
their
feel like
house.
I feel like Lori should have planned for that. By the way, better. She should have been like, "Hey, how do I stop emergency?"
Hey, if you ever see
responders
or if this place is burning to the ground, don't
Yeah.
call anyone.
Just let it go. Just watch the pretty flames. Yeah. So Michael survives, kills everyone
Mhm.
in a way even more intense than the original movie. By the way, I do feel like I don't know if it was in that opening bar scene or after this. Somebody mentioned something like think crazy things are going on. You see those there was two homicides at a gas station.
Right.
Well, wouldn't there be three? Does that mean the podcaster survived, the male guy?
There was actually 4 people killed at that gas station.
4? Okay, I know.
Yeah,
I know
because
there was
the clerk whose face was smashed
That's
in.
right.
The mechanic he took his
So
coveralls.
who lived is what I'm saying.
Maybe they just hadn't gone into the bathroom yet to find.
Maybe
the
not.
podcast.
Like who would really?
They're like
Honestly.
it's
Do not go
stinky
in there.
poo-poo.
Yeah, stinky poo poo, which is a the big one reference. Isn't that the name of the movie?
Big hit?
The Big Hit.
Yes.
With Mark Wahlberg.
I remember little else about that film, but I remember laughing
Is that
at
China Chow?
I believe so, but the girl, it's Christina
Leguizamo.
Applegate. Christina Applegate is Mark Wahlberg's girlfriend, who he doesn't want her to go into the bathroom where a corpse is. This is a wacky comedy about hitmen people, and so he says "stinky poo poo."
Yeah,
so
don't go in there, stinky poo poo, and he like
right.
it's
and that
funny.
made Matt and I laugh a lot.
It still does.
It still does.
Still holds up. No notes.
That's why the podcasters haven't been found.
So, then basically at this point, once Michael Myers kills every single firefighter within the Tri-County area,
Yeah,
and then the neighbors too, comedian Lenny Clark and his wife, very brutally, again, like upping the gore and sort of the meanness of the kills here with like
very intense because
like both of them survived the initial kill, which is to say like he was still alive enough to be stabbed and she was alive enough after being stabbed with the fluorescent light tube through the neck to watch it happen.
I mean, maybe she's gonna get a Will Patton. She's okay.
I know, yeah, she's all right. Evil dies
but I like
tonight?
again. This is again. It's well directed. It's like when he's stabbing Lenny Clark over and over, and he's out of focus, and it's just on her. That's pretty cool. It's well done.
And but then we basically get Lonnie gets the call from Cameron. Old
Huckleberry is introduced.
Who's that?
The bat, Old Huckleberry.
Oh, Huckleberry. Yeah. Tommy grabs the bat from behind the bar. Old Huckleberry. By the way, guess what kills Tommy?
Julian makes a cameo on the news.
Julian, the asshole kid from across the street. And they all start getting the actual like Michael Myers alerts. The amber alerts or whatever color Michael Myers would be. The white alerts for
Marianne says the evil dies tonight, and what will turn out to be
which should have just stopped right there, honestly.
And obviously, like that line obviously meant to evoke Loomis. Marianne is like a Loomis truther,
But then like Lori and Tommy start talking a lot like Loomis in ways that just don't seem natural at all.
That's why it's like if it stayed with Marianne, it'd be okay. Yeah. But it's the fact that everyone's so quick to be like, that sounds great.
Tommy wants to kill him. There's sort of this mob mentality, the swell up in the bar happening, and then we cut to the Myers house where if you recognize it, you recognize it, but if not, they tell some trick-or-treaters, some pranksters, the season of the witch kids, that it is the Myers house. And this is
Silver
Big
Shamrock
John and
again.
Little John.
The idea, the everyone returns from the last one. Now in this case, I'm sure it wasn't the same actors, but 3 kids were wearing the Silver Shamrock mask in the last movie. In this movie, we will find out who those kids are. They're fucking assholes because Haddonfield has terrible kids in it. But Silver Shamrock masks get a big featured role here. And they, again, these movies being much more artfully made and with a better budget, like the Myers house looks completely like the original movie, like both in the flashback and now it's like, hey, they recreated it on Atlanta soundstage perfectly.
And this is Scott MacArthur, who I remember from a show that got canceled on Fox that was pretty funny called The Mick, and Mad TV's Michael McDonald as Big John and Little John. And it's not the same thing, Eric, but the way that they called themselves Big John and Little John, it had a very Mr. and Mrs. Spottish vibe going on here as far as like what they call each other.
I like these characters.
Yeah.
They're very likable.
No, I'm
but
not. Again, I'm not trying to say like.
No, but I
it
wish
was
they
bad.
weren't called Big John and Little John
Yeah.
because that's too much. Like they are funny, likable guys. I like how they freak out these little shits by telling them that this is Michael Myers' house and fucking with them. It's a fun dynamic. I just think the Big John, Little John is like too cutesy and too sticky.
Too
like
sticky.
the tall one's called Little John. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And and then that's basically just there, if you're wondering, until later to set up the Myers house, like
Right.
because nothing happens there. They scare the kids off, and they're like, the door closes.
I mean, again,
so
we'll meet those kids again too.
Yeah, we'll meet everyone
but
again.
yeah.
And then a lot of hospital stuff. Finally, everyone returns to the hospital. Karen's grieving Ray in a weird way. Like, I don't mind her crying and like actually watching the blood off her hands and like trying to like, the aftermath of this traumatic event at her mom's house. But then like in the stairwell when Allison's like, I miss Dad, and he's like, he'll always be with us. I'm like,
it's too quick.
That's weird. That's weird.
It's weird. I do remember, again, it's been a year, but I do remember the unrated cut has one more Karen grieving Ray scene that did get cut. That was like one more of her kind of dealing with it, because I do like her washing the blood and crying, but then it is strange that it seems like a minute later she's like, he'll always be with us.
Yeah, it's like, you know what, Dad would want us to move on.
Right.
Let's do
I like Allison smirking a little at Sartain's corpse because that motherfucker threw Michael Myers in the back seat with her.
And so it's a thing where it's like Karen thinks that Michael's headed to the hospital and is stalking her mom when she's wrong. And then we also, at this point, Tommy's trying to like get like-minded mob mentality people to sort of join his posse.
Well, at first, Karen and Allison think Michael's dead, and then they find the sheriff tells him he's not.
Yeah, and then Sheriff Brackett is in the hospital. So we've got
now as a security guard,
original actor playing Sheriff Brackett. Charles Cyphers is back, and he gets a wolf line too later on, where it's like, I guess we're the monsters or something.
I know, it's like it's so ham-fisted.
It's like you don't have to say that out loud. You just keep that inside your head.
Exactly.
We see this.
Again, I'm not against this being a message of the movie, but yeah, it's like you might as well look at the camera and be like, that's the message of this movie, guys.
It's like, oh man. So anyway, all these things are happening, and at this point,
Allison leaves comatose grandmother a bloody knife if she needs it.
Yeah. And then Vanessa thinks she sees someone. She thinks she sees Michael Myers in the back of her car. Now, obviously, it's not Michael Myers because we don't see it happen. We don't see Michael Myers. The car drives away. The mob sort of chases the car. The car crashes, and the person runs away. And this just fires up the crowd even more. And so he starts like recruiting people and forming a plan and saying, you go down this street, you go down this street. And so everyone sort of heads out into the night to find Michael Myers.
And again, this is where it's like you said, it's like, look, yes, Halloween 4 did it first, but here this is going to be kind of the focal point of the movie, is the look how quickly these people are fucking up and seeing Michael everywhere and how out of hand this can get. And I'm totally cool with all that, except that immediately the Evil Dies Tonight chants and the fact that it's the penguin looking dude, I'm like, wait, like, this that doesn't work.
It's
this
hard to
version of what you're doing isn't working.
I also want to know what cops look at the crime scene of 11 dead firefighters and being like, let's go get him. Like, let's get Michael Myers for good. Like, you think you can? Like, looking at this crime scene, you think that will work? Because Godspeed, Spider-Man. Anyway, so then we get the car scene with Vanessa, Marcus, Lindsay, and Marion Chambers. And basically it's a well done scene, and also the asshole kids. And no one
asshole kids who are
Lindsay.
Good actors. I think those two actors, the one who actually gets killed doesn't have much to do. He gets killed off screen. But that little brat girl and her little brat friend, they're good young actors being little brats, give an attitude to Lindsay.
And I feel like there's some fun moments here, like Michael jumping on top of the car, or like them all headed out, Lindsay headed out, and then looking back when they're like, hey, that guy's playing hide and seek and he's by the car. she puts bricks in a pillowcase or a candy sack, and like he jumps on the car. Everyone's inept, doesn't know when they've run out of bullets. He literally does make someone shoot themselves.
That's a pretty great moment.
Which is the story the cop makes up for Frank, by the way.
Yes.
Back in 1978.
Although, yeah, what happens to her is very cool as far as not in real life, everyone. But in the movie,
we're talking horror movies.
But and then Lindsay gets a kind of crowd pleasing moment when she actually does attack Michael and hit him.
And she gets to escape because she takes the mask. Yeah, and
she fucks up the mask, and he does want to straighten the mask.
Yeah, so he's like, well, I can't see, obviously. Right. Like,
and that's like probably the most suspenseful sequence is him looking for her, going after her, and then she gets to live and be in the third one. So she does not get killed, and then
everything they all get killed. But then we're back at the hospital, and we get the sort of the heart to heart between Laurie and Frank, and then we've got.
And this is, by the way, 53 minutes in is when Jamie Lee Curtis gets to actually kind of start acting in this movie. Like, so there she is.
And so, this movie relies way too much on like the characters, either, basically recast or actors brought back from characters from the original movie as our lead focal points for hunting down Michael Myers. And when it's like, we really want Karen, Allison, and Laurie out there. Now, understandably, like she was stabbed and she's wounded and stuff, but like they're just trapped in the hospital so much.
I mean, Allison is out there, and Allison has a good moment that I actually just wish would played a little more, which is Lonnie talking about like getting high with her dad, and she's laughing, but then it zooms on her crying, and I think that's a good moment. But then it's like a second later, they're like, "Hey, look over there!" I'm like, "Hey, that should have been the end of the scene." Should have let that be, because that's when they find the couple wearing the silver shamrock masks.
Things are going crazy in the hospital. More bodies are being wheeled in. The citizenry is going sort of ape shit. No one can sort of control anything.
But
the sheriff's not helping.
The sheriff, he gets some good beats about, like, again, he was just sending the goofy sheriff in the cowboy hat in the last one, but in this one, he gets some good moments as far as like his just showing him realizing how out of control this is getting. He seems to be the only one right from the beginning who's just like, this is all wrong. But I can't stop it. I did think that was well played, both direction wise and acting wise. And this is when also we find out that Laurie and Frank kissed once, but she was sweet on Ben Tramer. Goddamn Ben Tramer, who better be in the next one.
Is he going to be the Haddonfield mayor? Like, what's going to happen to him?
This is, by the way, when Laurie doesn't find out till this point that Michael even survived.
Right. So this middle part of the movie involves Tommy at the hospital riling everyone up, the Evil Dies Tonight chant happening, mixed with another flashback to Frank, actually showing like the aftermath and how he stopped Loomis from killing Michael, and the story that they told about how his partner died, and the Big John, Little John getting killed, like going back to the Myers house at this point where Michael has gone to the house, he's made it home, and these two guys are living in it, and he winds up killing them. It's squishing heads and stabbing people. And
also, though, this is when Laurie stabs herself in the ass with painkillers.
Right, she wants to go out there. Yeah,
to go out there, but which will not actually happen in this movie
because she gets trampled. She gets trampled by the mob.
She gets hurt
going after the penguin. Yeah,
she's still very fucked up and injured from the last one. Like that at the house, Big John and Little John. I understand you could say, like, why didn't they just fucking leave the house? It's a horror movie. They don't.
There's just a heavy-handedness to this movie that wasn't present in the 2018 movie, where it's like maybe Frank's like, maybe he was looking at his reflection, and it cuts to Karen looking at her reflection, and like there wasn't any of that like weird theoretical melodrama going on in the first
no like the last one felt like a lot
this
more
is real heavy-handed ponderance in this movie, and people making huge stretches with their sort of metaphysical theories about Michael Myers that there was really sort of no build to.
I mean, except for Sartain, who turned out to just be kind of a lunatic.
Right. But
when
his
Michael-
stuff was the least effective part of that first
exactly.
movie. So
He was the character.
and that part just sort of, and his part kind of transformed into the crux of this movie, you know, like that kind of postulation.
When Big John, who's the smaller man, gets killed, he gets stabbed in the armpit. That seems painful. But then his face gets completely smushed in a way that really made me think about how funny it is that these days, because this is not the unrated version, and it's still fucking gory as hell. We have definitely evolved. I don't know. Some people would say badly. I'm cool with it, but it is funny to think how much in the 80s they had to cut everything out of slasher movies. How it made me think of Friday the 13th Part 7, which is like the most notoriously edited of those movies, because there's the part where Jason grabs the guy outside the van and he's supposed to smush his head into nothing. But they, like every kill in that movie, they cut away immediately. And I'm like, oh, but now Big John's face can be completely smushed. So things have changed.
Okay.
And then and Little John has the Michael, you come home line, which, you know, feels like it's all sort of full circle to the tagline of the original movie, which is the night he came home. But in this case, it's like his house that is like, you know, they've made like sort of more important than ever in this one.
Lonnie figures out that Michael Myers is going home, so he takes Cameron and Allison there. And meanwhile, I mean, we kind of skipped over the penguin jumping off the roof, but it's we've touched on it enough as far as this guy is cornered to the point where at that point Brackett and Tommy and Laurie already knew it was the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But like Tommy and Brackett, by the time the mob was out of control and they couldn't even stop them, they started realizing it was the wrong guy and what they were doing is wrong, but they were sort of powerless to stop it. They sort of had some looks. They sort of where they're like, oh shit. And then this guy, we kind of let the mob off the hook here because they make him jump to his death. They don't actually go in and kill him, you know, like, which would have been darker, but
I mean, they let him off the hook, but I mean, I get, again, it's like they're still like the people on the street are still chanting "Evil dies tonight" when he smashes down and dies.
I'm just saying they don't shoot him like they did poor Ted Hollister. But
no, that's true. And again, all could have worked much better. I like, you know, Karen like actually helps the guy and is trying to help him escape. It's just like the goddamn "Evil dies tonight" thing because she's so cheesy. And the fact that he doesn't look like someone that no one, when they got a good look at him, would ever think that's Michael Myers. Why did they use that actor? I do not know.
Okay, and so now we're sort of in the end game here, which all takes place at Michael Myers' house or thereabouts. And Cameron, again, Lonnie goes in. You know, in Lonnie's defense, Lonnie didn't see any of these crime scenes because he's like, I got this. You guys stay in the car. Like everyone thinks they could just go in because they have a gun. And it's not going to work because you either won't get a shot off or you will, and it won't matter. Like it doesn't it doesn't matter. Like at the end when the mob surrounds him, I think someone shoots him 7 times in the chest. Like at that point, he is just a supernatural being. And so I don't know how the final film is going to reconcile this. This one tried to with Laurie's speech at the end about how like every kill makes him into this more of this fantastical evil that is impervious to everything, I guess. But where does that come from? Like, why would you even think that? It's weird.
It is. I do want to say that I do like Hawkins. It plays maybe more comical than it's meant to, but it is funny that he's like, it's not about you to Laurie. Yeah. It's like stop making this about you.
My God.
Robert Longstreet being a good actor. I do think he is very good telling Lonnie and Allison to stay in the car. Even though it's like, they're just gonna run in right after he starts screaming.
Well, he and his son get terrible deaths. Cameron, in one of the situations where it's like being punished almost for the sin of the previous movie, not even this movie, where he was sort of trying to help the entire time, like literally trying to be a nice guy and a boyfriend and someone who's like doing good for society. Because he kissed someone in the last movie, he gets a really drawn out gruesome death.
He's stabbed in the stomach first, then his head is knocked over and over and over again, and then he's still holding on to life, and his head is twisted around like completely upside down. So
Michael Myers is very good at fucking people up without killing them in this movie. Like
he is.
It's
and you know, look, you know, like it plays really intense. It's a very intense sequence with Allison and Cameron in the house. Oh, the murder tableau of Big John and Little John recreating the photo. I like that.
Playing a song like Michael Myers is like, hey, I like this tune. He's playing music. And so
Allison trying desperately to save Cameron to no avail.
She stabs, I think, him 3 times in the stomach. Again, like once that happens, what do you think you can do to him? I just wonder why they think things will be effective.
Well, I mean, I don't know about her. I mean, because when Karen shows up and, it's a little fake out of like, do it. But she's really talking to Karen. Karen stabs him in the back with a pitchfork. And at first you think it's going to be a stupid, like, don't think he's dead. But it turns out Karen...
She knows better. It's a trap. And that was a satisfying part of that end.
Mm-hmm.
Less satisfying is when none of it mattered and he got up and killed 17 people in town, like including everyone we were following the entire movie.
And some of them from the original movie. They do a huge callback to the original with Brackett saying everyone's entitled to one good scare. Like now that's his catchphrase.
Yeah. He's either saying that or I guess we're the monsters, or he's turning us into the monsters. Oh, speaking of the original film, I like in the flashback to when he is captured is when he walks out of the house and he does feel like a little kid standing there with all the cops surrounding him again. Mm-hmm. Like when he comes out after Frank accidentally shoots the other deputy in 1978. So I thought that was cool. Like sort of the pullback of like where he does seem very childlike in that moment.
And well, also because it's not the same actor who plays him wisely. Someone else plays him as young Michael. And they do the physicality very well when he bursts out and grabs the deputy who's about to be shot by Frank by accident. It's a good scare. And then when Frank fucks up and shoots that deputy, I do like Michael just kind of turns and walks away.
He's like, bye. Oh. Yeah. He's like, my work is done here. Right. He's like, oh, I didn't know you were going to be a fucking idiot. All right. He just leaves. And it's a big trap. And again, this is just when like, he gets shot, he gets beat down, and it just doesn't affect him. It just
Karen stabs him in the back with.
Does he have organs? You know what I mean? Like, does he have anything in his body that?
Because now he is like zombie Jason. Like,
he doesn't need his heart. He doesn't need his anything. So, but yeah, he came back to life. Kills Brackett. Kills Tommy. And
kills Tommy last.
No, he doesn't. He kills Karen last, which
I
know of the mob. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very upsetting. Don't like it. Anti that.
Laurie's got this weird monologue about the more he kills, the more he transcends to something else, impossible defeat. And then she has a funny line that's a very sort of meta winky thing about that is the true curse of Michael. She doesn't say Michael Myers, but it's like, it's not the curse of the Cult of Thorn is not the curse of Michael. It's this transcending thing that he kills. He's like powering up. Like
again, after this movie, maybe I do need the Cult of Thorn to explain that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And then it's the other thing of like, because he is like Jason at this point, do you just have to Jason him, which is to say trap him, like chain him underwater, or, like put him in some sort of prison that he can't get out of until someone accidentally does.
Right. Or like disintegrate him or smash him
or chop his head off, which was like the whole joke of H2O,
Yeah. And then, by the way, there is, I put this in bold. She does have a line in this movie, and is it foreshadowing? We'll find out. Or is it a callback or just a line, which is when she says, "Let him come for me. Let him take my head as I take his."
Yep. So it's very much she says a line that's very similar to what the line we hear in the teaser and the trailer for Halloween Ends, which is like, if he ends, do I have to end for him to end, or something like that. She says very similar things in this movie too. So
right. The alternate ending on the unrated cut is like it's just an add-on to the end of the movie that I know they said that they cut because it would no longer match. I don't know if the third movie, if they were gonna make it, Matt, maybe you really wouldn't have liked this, because we know the new one picks up 4 years later, like it's in quote real time again.
You haven't watched the new trailer purposely so, but they let you know that in the trailer. Yeah.
But the original ending of this movie, it's all the same. He kills Karen, but then Laurie is calling Karen's cell phone, and this is on the unrated version. Michael picks up the phone and answers it. He does not speak.
He goes, "Hello, Mr. Pie in the face."
He does not say that, but he's doing his Michael Myers breathing. She hears it, realizes instantly what this means, and says, "I'm coming for you," and storms out of the hospital, implying it would have to pick up right away. And I think that's why they cut it, because they had made the decision it was not going to pick up right away. So that's
honestly at this point, just make it 3 movies in one night. They didn't, but whatever.
Right. On crazy.
Yeah, I think we already mentioned last week that we're seeing. Did we mention it? Anyway, we're seeing these movies a year later. Like should have already finished this whole trilogy. We should have watched Halloween Ends last year and Halloween Kills in 2020. But the world had other ideas, and so things got pushed back. And so just a couple weeks, we're gonna watch Halloween Ends. We'll do a Hudson Hawk episode about it. And
maybe a little later than we would normally, because I will be on
because
a cruise.
it will be after, and I am also gone away that weekend, and so it'll be after it's released, so time for people to see it.
It won't be, usually we'd probably try to get it up by the end of opening weekend, but I think it'll be a few days after this time. This movie, again, I think I like it a little more than you, but which is to say, I say like it. Again, it's a big disappointment. Like, you watch it,
it's a big come down from the last movie.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. That's the biggest thing to me. I think, my light defense of it is that it's overhated because it's a disappointment, but I understand why people would be so bummed out that it's like, hey, you had all these great elements and all the elements are back and you brought everyone back and that's cool. And, the creative team is back and the mixture of the ham-fistedness, the things that could have landed but don't, and then except for Karen dying, because all the characters, the original coming back and dying, well, we could have done that without them. Karen dying is important, but it could have just as easily been the prologue to the next one. So it does make it ultimately feel like insubstantial. And I know that's funny to say about a slasher movie sequel when it's like, hey, it's just about people killing people. But because this was like a planned trilogy, it felt like this should have more weight.
I feel like when it comes to Halloween, because the first movie is so like renowned and well regarded and is considered, and it is not just considered, but it's one of the best movies ever made, best horror movies ever made. So that like there is a pedigree to Michael Myers that other slashers don't have. And so like when we got something as good as Halloween 2018, we're like, yes, this is what we've been waiting out for a long, long time, as far as like a quality Michael Myers film that plays that evokes the specialness of what the original did in a proper manner. And whereas like Jason, we're like, what happened? What if Jason time traveled? Like, what if Jason rode a dinosaur and fought a giant octopus? Like, where Jason is like,
you wouldn't feel it was demeaning to the series.
Like, if we said let's put Michael Myers in space, everyone would be like, but like, what if Jason were like, fuck yeah, like Jason could go anywhere. Michael Myers is sort of like these parameters of quality. And so you're saying like it seems silly to say that about a slasher movie. It does, except that it's Michael Myers.
Yes.
And it also feels weird to say that after we have watched plenty of low quality Michael Myers movies in this rewatch. But I feel like they are of lower quality and lower esteem in our minds, even because because of how it started, we always expect more.
Right.
And that's just sort of that's the true curse of Michael.
Now, if Halloween Ends is a dud, and I hope it's not, but if it is, it will be funny that again, and we talked about this already last week, but it's like
you just disregard it and just stick with Halloween.
2018, because it's like we already talked about, like, even though 2 is not a very good movie, 1, 2, and 4 can make a satisfying trilogy, and it just ends with 4. And then 1, 2, and H2O can make a satisfying trilogy,
and you can even argue, Eric, even though it's not your bag at all, that Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, could easily it's a self-contained movie.
A self-contained movie, and then original and 2018 are a satisfying duology, or whatever you call it, 2 movies. In every case, they kept going. And so far, this was a very disappointing follow-up. Maybe they'll redeem themselves with Halloween Ends. If not, you can just watch the original in 2018 together. But again, you have many options because there's so many retcons and strange avenues that this series goes on.
What a world we live in, Eric. This is a crazy world.
I tweeted this. I don't know if you saw me when I was watching this movie the other day. I said, it's crazy that we have watched Nancy Stevens play Nurse Marion get killed by Michael Myers twice.
Yeah.
Like, because that actress, unlike Tommy, the only person to ever play Nurse Marion has been Nancy Stevens for 44 years. and got to be murdered by Michael Myers in 2 different timelines in 2 different movies, more than 20 years apart. It's
And
crazy.
let's not forget the most important message of Halloween Kills, Eric, which is that Peacock secured non-competitive rights to air Community season 6. And it was weird when they chanted that. It was a little, it didn't really roll off the tongue. But
I felt like we understood by the end of it.
I think so. We are the monsters after all. Okay. That'll do it for Michael Myers at this point. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
The evil dies to Shakma.